Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're reviewing this rather nice new Seiko Alpinist. Now I believe this kind of style has been out before, but this is now fitted with their new 6R45 movement. So what that means is it's actually a 3-day movement, and overall I think this is a rather good looking watch. It's got a few little quirks but we'll get into in a bit. But overall, I like the Alpinist range. I used to own a mini Alpinist or the baby Alpinist for quite a few years actually. I even did like a Zin mod so you could fit a H-link bracelet to one. And I think they're just honest, nice, kind of good looking watches. And this one is no exception. In fact, this looks a little bit more classier with this rather nice ink dial. But before I get too far into this review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth for allowing me to review this piece. Lots of cool, interesting brands and nice watches like what we have in front of us today. But also more rarer kind of brands you don't see every day. So if you're in the Kenilworth area, strongly recommend popping into their shop. If you're a little bit further afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description and at the bottom page now. All I ask, if you do contact them, please mention the channel. So let's talk sizes of this one, and this is where we get into a little bit of a strange quirk. The Seiko blurb say it's 39.5 millimeters. So, you know, I thought, okay, well, let's measure this. And I'm like, that is not, you know, that's definitely not 39.5. So I thought, okay, these are rather cheap basic calipers. Let's get out the big guns, which are these Mitutoyo calipers. And let's just see what these are saying. Now, I can get a little bit further down on the case here. And as you can see, this is reading 38.5. So they're definitely not 39.5. There's slightly over a millimeter difference. But where I think they could be getting this from is if you go the swage mark here, it does stick out a little bit further. But you actually read this diameter. And if you do, then it's definitely not 39.5. The thickness of the watch, they've got absolutely spot on, and that is 13.6. The lug to lug is 46.1, making it a very wearable watch. And the strap on this is coming in at 20 millimeters. The dial is just lovely. It's got such a nice inky black dial. As you can see, you see reflections of it. It is that glossy. It really is nice. And then you have these applied hour markers in this kind of bead blasted finish, which really complement that inky dial. I really do like it. You've also got the classic cathedral style hands on which is across the whole Alpinist range, I believe. But then you do also, well, one thing I should mention, these hands and these pips going around the outside have got loom to them, so you do get, especially on the hands, a really good strong loom. The rest not quite so much, but this after all isn't a diver's watch. This is more what's called a field watch. We've got Seiko script up there, Seiko the Prospex X, GMT automatic 3 days and 20 bar. So this is a 200 meter capable I was going to say dive watch, but you get the idea, water resistance to it. The big thing is, though, we do have this hand here, and that is the GMT hand. So we all know this basic stuff here. At the minute, it's coming up to 9 minutes past 10. All you do is delete that hand and you read it from this. So this would actually 9 minutes past midday. You use this outer scale when using the GMT. How you operate that is, if I unscrew the crown, it's a little bit notchier crown to be fair, go straight into hand wind, as you can hear, pull it out one more click, he says, there. Now if I turn it clockwise, well actually let's go counterclockwise, we move a date. Yes, this does have the round date down there at the 4:30 position. I sometimes think with the round date, would it be better at the 6 o'clock? That way you would have more of a symmetrical dial. Yeah, food for thought anyway. So now if we turn it the opposite direction, you can actually move that GMT hand. And as you can see there. So it's just nice and simple. It doesn't affect the seconds, so you're not going to lose your timekeeping when you fly to a different time zone. Let's screw that back in. he says it's a little bit notchy. There we go. There we go. One thing I should say is the price on this. It is now, I think this is RIP £990. Yeah, they have gone up somewhat, but everything else in life has also. So, but I dare say if you speak to first class watches, there is a good deal to be had. So anyway, next we've got our chapter ring. Now, the chapter ring here is actually a compass style internal bezel, because how it operates is when you turn this crown here, you can see that internal track is rotating. It is very, very smooth. So I suppose if you were out and about, you can see where the sun rises. You can always locate that as east against a waypoint, maybe. I don't know. It's one of those things, you can use it. I personally prefer a count up or count down bezel myself, but the whole thing with the Alpinist is it did have a compass. So they're sticking with, you know, the old fashioned classic way there, and fair play to them for that. The only thing I would say is there's no screw down ability on this. So if you knock it, it will move. You can't lock it in position, I don't believe anyway. Unless, can you pull? No, you cannot. So you can't lock it, which is a little bit of a shame. So the crystal on this is a sapphire crystal. It is flat, but it's got a really, really nice sort of like a radius on the side there. It is very, very soft to touch. Very good. The bezel, fixed bezel with GMT markings. These have actually been engraved, so it's not just stuck on the front there. So they have done a very nice job there. As we come around to the case of the watch, I love this design. It is incredibly comfortable. These chamfers on here are absolutely superb. They are really, really good. You've got the brushwork on the lugs there, and as I say, big crown protectors there, and this one is relatively guarded anyway due to its position. When you turn this watch around, you are greeted with that 6R46 through a display display case back on there. Overall, there is actually a sticker on it, so I'll leave that on there. Overall, it's a solid movement. Though this I did put on the time grapher and it wasn't doing quite so well. I think at first it was plus 20 odd seconds. I demagged the living daylights out of it, and then it went down to, I think, around about plus 17, I think. Now, they can be regulated, obviously, but you don't ideally want that. But saying that, this is within specs for the Seiko movement, so they can say that. You never know, it could change over time, and possibly when it's on its side, it, you know, it might be, you know, normally it takes, you normally start losing seconds when the watch is like that, so you never know. Because I haven't had it on my wrist, I can't say if that's, you know, how many seconds a day or whatever it is gaining or losing. But the movement itself is, I believe it's obviously 72 hours of power reserve, 24 dual bi-direction winding. You know, they can be regulated and made really, you know, to perform really well. Contrary to what someone said to me the other day, because it's 6 beats per second and the 6 hour will always be more accurate. That's a complete load of rubbish. You know, in that case, Roger Smith's watches are a lower beat rate and they're accurate anyway. So don't let beat rate, you know, I personally prefer a higher beat rate because you get a smoother running second hand, but it doesn't equate to accuracy. That's complete rubbish. So anyway, the next gripe with this. Yep. That is a little bit irritating, isn't it? To be fair, that might go after some time. Once it's on the wrist a bit, that might go. Worst case scenario, you can always put a little bit of leather cleanser or cleaner or whatever on there, and that will probably remove that squeak. But I must admit, it is driving me a tad mad. The strap itself is really nice. Nice, thick padding going on there. A high gloss finish to it. All signed on the inside, and you do get the deployable clasp there. One thing I would say is my baby Alpinist had this one. Even though I haven't got a watch anymore, I still have this. And this just feels more kind of, it's a more rustic kind of feel, more vintage look, but I do like this, and there's no squeaky or whatever with this at all. Or if you're fancying a little bit different, go for an Artem sailcloth strap on here. I think that also would look very good if you want something a little bit more premium. How you operate this is, well, first, that will be in the lockdown position. You press this, that release that. You then place this in, I can't remember which, let's go for that one. and then click in. If I zoom out, we'll have a quick wrist check and put it on my wrist. I'm wearing my Zin U15 limited edition, which I really, really like. And Bob has the new Longines Conquest on there, which is a little bit more of a dress watch, but very cool. Out of interest, why do the Seiko deployed class always come this way around? It always seems back to front to me. Because the reason why, if I fold this over, well, I should say my wrist size 7.25 inches or 18.5 centimeters. You put this in, and that's fair enough, but that means your view is always seeing that. It's always nicer when it's on the outside. It just feels a tad wrong to me. But, you know, because when you think, I don't know, it is what it is. There's no right or wrong technically. That's it on my wrist. It looks great. It really is a good looking watch. You know, I would change that strap though, because it would drive me absolutely mad. Can I open that now? Let's unclip that, press that, and there you go. That's it. Anyway, guys, let me know. I can't get past that squeakiness. Let me know what you think of this one. Most importantly, you'll stay safe up there. So take care. Bye.